Hey, what's up guys? Kofi Manga here. In this video, I'm going to talk about a particular storytelling format that is taught in this manga storytelling textbook that I got while I was in Japan from Kyoto Seikai University. This is an in-house textbook written by a professional mangaka about how to do manga storytelling. All right, so I'll preface this by saying there are other examples of storytelling formats. This is just about one in particular. And as this textbook does in earlier chapters, it uses an example of a particular story or film, in this case being film The Defiant Ones. So this particular storytelling structure or format that this chapter is talking about is a story involving two characters whose personalities conflict or their interests conflict, but they are stuck together. Quite literally in the film example, they're using The Defiant Ones. It's about a black guy and a white guy who escaped from prison, but they are handcuffed together, right? So they're conflicting for whatever reason. I didn't see the film, I don't know, but they do provide a synopsis and basically how to tell that kind of story. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. This is a rough translation. I'm doing it off the top of my head, so please bear with me. I didn't practice or write any notes or anything, so I'll explain it to the best of my ability. If you have any questions, you can comment on the video. 対照的な2人のキャラクターの葛藤を各ストーリーの形式を紹介します。So we will introduce the storytelling format of the conflict between two contrasting characters. Teijo no Mama no Tetsugoku. So that's the name of the film. It's kind of funny because in English it's called The Defiant Ones. In Japanese, the literal title of the film is Prison Break in the State of Being Handcuffed by Stanley Kramer, the director. Okay. これはある一定の条件のもとに縛られている対立した2人のキャラクターが徐々に和解していく要素を書いたストーリーです。Right, so this is a story about a story involving the fixed sort of condition of two contrasting characters being tied together who slowly come to compromise and reconcile and understand each other, right? I think a good example of this in manga and anime would be Naruto and Sasuke, right? So they don't literally have to be tied together like they are in the film. It's two characters who are in a situation beyond their control, and they're stuck together. So in the case of Naruto and Sasuke, right, they live in the same village, and they're in the same team, Team 7, I think. They're very conflicting, but they're stuck together, right? And they gradually, it takes a while and some battles, they come to understand each other. That's the kind of storytelling format that this chapter is describing. So, これを僕は定常の2人形式と名付けました. I call this the format, the two tied together format. So, 図で書くと左のような感じです. If we were to draw it in a diagram, it would look like what we have here on the left. 定常の2人の設定, the setting of the two tied together. 対立する2人のエピソード. 対立する2人のエピソード, and that repeats. So the episode of the two in conflict, and that repeats 3 times. And then here, 2人の関係が変わるエピソード. The episode in which the two's relationship changes. So it looks like what they're doing here is their example of conflict, example of conflict, example of conflict, probably for emphasis to show just how contrasting these two are. And then in the story, after you get the idea of the contrast for the reader, their relationship changes somehow. 2人の関係が少し縮まった. Their relationship has, to a small degree, closened, or they've gotten closer to some extent. この形式も初めてのお使い形式の平均であることがお分かりでしょうか? So So henkei. So that's referring to an earlier chapter. It's saying that this isn't the same format as we talked about earlier, basically. Okay, so let's get into the synopsis of the film. Again, remember, I haven't read this. I'm sorry, I haven't watched this. But this is a synopsis the textbook provides. 校舎から逃げた二人. So the two ran away from the police paddy wagon. 手錠でつながれている. They are tied by handcuffs. Earlier in this textbook, it talks about how important it is to establish the problem of a story early. And it also says if you look at any Hollywood film, that the main problem of the story is actually established within the first 10 minutes. And this text talks a lot about holding the reader's attention and making them stay focused. An important element of that is always having the early established problem present in the character's mind. So that's why they have that here. They are tied. They escape from the police. They are tied together. Problem established early. Kawa o wataru toki mo ishou ni. They are still stuck together even when crossing a river. Tairitsu suru ga chikara o awaseru. Though the two are in conflict, they must cooperate. Nendo no ana ni ochiru koto mo. Even when they jump into a hole of clay. This is something particular that happened in the movie. I don't know. But basically what it's showing is, they are going through some sort of conflict, but they're stuck together. So they eventually have to cooperate, even under ridiculous, difficult circumstances. Moving on. Mura de rinchi ni aisou ni. It seems they will be lynched by the village. Ona ni tasukerare teijo o hazusu. They were saved by a woman, and the handcuffs were removed. Yappari futari wa ishou. After all, they are still together. Kamotsuresha ni norezu shippai. They failed to ride on the freight train. Looks like they were running after it and they missed it. Oretachi wa ganbatta na. So it looks like the conclusion is, oh man, we've been through a lot together, haven't we? We really worked hard. So basically what I see in the synopsis of the story is they're talking about the key storytelling points. This is how you do a synopsis of a story. This takes a skill as well. Pointing out the key storytelling elements. Right, so the setting and the problem was established early in the two first points. They escaped. They're on the run. They're tied together. They're conflicting, but they're stuck together. They have to cooperate. They go through some kind of dire circumstance together. Then, obviously, there was some sort of change because even though the handcuffs were removed, they're still together. And they became friends in some way, right? They respect each other at least. So moving on to the description. この形式でも一名両然で問題が立っていることが必要です。So even in this format, it is important, it is necessary to clearly and obviously establish the problem of the story. It really drives that point home throughout this textbook of establishing the problem early. 対立しているキャラクターがどのような条件で縛られているのか設定を早くはっきり示すことです。So this is the case of, or the matter of, quickly and clearly establishing the condition that these two are stuck together. Being very clear and concise and neat in storytelling is another very important point the book often brings up. Your story has to be clear, right? Don't confuse your audience. Make it simple. 基本的に2人がいかに対立しているかというエピソードの連続によってストーリーは進行していきます。Basically, the story is propelled by or continues on the basis of an initial episode in which the two's conflict originates. Basically, the story is driven by the initial episode of the two's conflict, right? And then it moves on from there, but that is the basis, that conflict. 対立は深まる一方、ある一定の条件に縛られていますから、二人は対立の中でお互い理解していくのです。I think this is an important point that it makes. So their conflict deepens and intensifies because they're together, because they're stuck together. However, on the other hand, because of this set condition of being stuck together, quite literally in this film, handcuffed together, the two eventually become to understand each other. この形では二人の関係性が変わる大きな役割を持ったエピソードが必要になります. Okay, so in this format, remember this is a specific storytelling format, not just any story. In the format of the two being tied together, it becomes necessary for there to be an episode in which their relationship changes in a dramatic way. The role of them in each other's lives changes in a dramatic way. このエピソードが一つの出場を作ると言ってもいいでしょう. Right, so this is another point that I think is important. It is important for this this episode to happen in one take. This big change in their relationship must take place in a specific episode to be pointed out. Now, obviously, gradual changes happen in the story, but I think what they're saying, what the author is saying here, is the point in which they come from this relationship to this relationship. There has to be a recognizable sort of defining moment in an episode when that happens. そのエピソードを経った後、二人は必ずしも和解するわけではありません. This is also important. So after this sort of establishing relationship changing episode, it isn't necessarily the case that they have completely, reconciled with each other. That's not what it's saying. It's saying there has to be some sort of change. They don't have to be holding hands and, riding off into the sunset. There just has to be a significant change within their relationship, within the dynamic of the two characters. しかし、二人の関係性が、いい方向に転じたことを読者は確認して作品を読み終わることができるのです. However, though it may be the case that their relationship hasn't changed from, conflicting enemy to great friends, it must be clear and it must be very clear to the reader that upon finishing the book, that their relationship has moved into some sort of positive direction. All right, so just to sum up everything that I just said, this is one particular storytelling format of many in which there are two characters who are tied together by a circumstance that they don't have control of. And in this kind of story, they have conflicting character traits. But over time, they slowly grow to understand each other or reconcile in some way. They don't necessarily have to become friends. And this happens by really emphasizing the conflict over and over and over until there's a very specific episode and moment in time where it shows that the relationship changes. And though they don't have to be friends, we have to understand, the readers have to understand very clearly that it's now moving in a positive direction. Another point that I want to emphasize again that the textbook often emphasizes is that whatever the problem in the story is must be established clearly and early. Everything needs to be as clear as possible. We need to know what the problem is. We need to understand the two's conflict. It needs to be easy to distinguish them, their characters, and they need to come to some sort of understanding by the conclusion of the story. Okay, that's all I have for this video. I hope you guys found this useful and or interesting. If you have any further questions for me about this, feel free to comment on it. All right, till next time.